This year's richest person, the existence of aliens, even the return of Jesus Christ. Believe it or not, people are actually betting on stuff like this. This year's richest person, the existence of aliens, even the return of Jesus Christ. Believe it or not, people are actually betting on stuff like this.
Prediction markets are platforms online where you can bet on future events. The best known platforms are Kalshi, Polymarket, but there are a bunch of others.
And over the past year, they've exploded in popularity.
Kalshi partnered with CNN, CNBC.
Google announcing it will integrate Kalshi's data.
MLB naming Polymarket its official prediction market partner.
We have New York Stock Exchange owner taking a stake into Polymarket.
You're starting to see Polymarket and Kalshi really get into the mainstream vernacular.
If you had me saying potato on Polymarket, you just made a ton of money.
Prediction market app, dude. You know, online peer-to-peer betting.
The amount of money involved has skyrocketed.
Kalshi currently handles 3 billion of notional trading a week. Just at the beginning of 2025, they were handling 30 million. So 100 times more. We're seeing pretty similar numbers for Polymarket.
The boom is creating a new class of market watchers.
You're just placing trades based on the news and the information that you have.
Information is power.
I was able to pay off my student loans with the money I got from Kalshi. I'm putting myself through grad school. I was able to pay off my car.
But most people aren't paying off their bills. They're losing money.
I feel so bad for 18 to 35-year-old males losing so much money.
People are gambling on war.
As the U.S. and Israel prepared to strike Iran, platforms like Polymarket saw a surge in activity.
One of the criticisms of prediction markets is that they've created the financialization of everything. Should you be even allowed to bet on military endeavors, or should that be something that is off limits?
As these markets get more esoteric and specific, they become more easily gameable, more difficult to monitor insider trading and market manipulation.
So what happens when you can bet on almost anything?
From the perspective of the prediction markets, this is not gambling. This is trading a derivative like any other derivative, whether it's wheat futures or something that has real world utility.
Kalshi or any other prediction market, they're regulated by the Commodity and Futures Trading Commission on a federal level.
It's a yes or a no outcome. When you buy shares, they can be priced anywhere from 1 cent to 99 cents. That price is determined by what traders are willing to pay for that outcome at the moment in time.
Unlike sports gambling, prediction markets don't have a house, taking the opposite side of your bet.
We don't actually make money when people lose.
Instead, they match buyers and sellers and generate revenue from transaction fees.
Prediction markets are based on supply and demand. It's a peer-to-peer market. If I place a yes on a certain outcome, whether it's going to rain in Central Park tomorrow, there needs to be enough people thinking that it's not going to rain to take the opposite side of the bet.
And while you're welcome to make predictions about the weather, most people on these platforms are there for sports.
Indiana gonna win, baby!
As of March, around 70% of Kalshi's weekly trading volume was entirely made up of sports-related bets.
Prediction markets are exploding. Now you take the idea of something like a prediction market, which is the hottest thing out there, Polymarket, Kalshi, things like that, and then you put it together with pre-IPO stocks, right? Like a SpaceX before it went public, right? And you smash those two ideas together and you got Hecto. Hecto is building on Canton, and just because of those two narratives, I am very, very bullish in what it has going on. So let's discuss it a bit here. This is our first breakdown of it. This is being streamed live to the Patreon. We always go live to the Patreon first, and the Patreon will get the full video, but you guys here on the regular channel will get part of the video. So let's continue. Let's bring this back up and go to our next slide here. Hecto, it pays to be early. Your on-chain gateway to pre-IPO economy. Okay. So again, like pre-IPOs, like a SpaceX, like a ByteDance, those are the guys I think that do the TikTok, Anthropic, things like that. And as a retail investor, you do not have the ability to invest in these things unless you're an accredited investor. You just don't have the ability to invest in these things. So in comes something like Hecto, which will give you exposure to it, right? It won't let you, it won't be the same as someone who works at SpaceX and actually gets the stock itself, right? But you get exposure to it. But again, you were going to have no exposure. Hecto is actually giving you exposure. And right now it's not available in the US, but they have a prediction market open in which people can predict on these private companies. Okay. So you're almost gamifying investing, which sounds really interesting to me. It says trade the signal before the listing, daily markets for private companies. Everyone is watching. Hecto predictions let users express views on pre-IPO companies through a live Canton native app experience. So hence you're kind of gamifying predicting on pre-IPO companies. So really, really interesting thought there. Not only are you giving the ability to get exposure to it, you're also gamifying investing in it. Okay. And then here we have the link in which it's private market exposure tokenized. Hecto PMX gives you eligible users a cleaner tokenized route to private market exposure, built around the documented terms, controlled access, and clear product mechanics. And then also below here, they have thematics, which kind of sounds like they're giving you almost like an ETF or a bundle product so you can have exposure to all AI pre-IPOs, all robotics pre-IPOs, all quantum pre-IPOs, all longevity pre-IPOs, and all Chinese tech pre-IPOs. All right, and you can go on and join the waiting list for this. Now, this token is available on Canton and Canton only at the moment, I believe. I know someone said it might be available on Solana. I'm not sure how that is or not. I got it on Canton, so I would suggest that you guys get it on Canton. They also have here let's show you this. It seems like an ability for certain customers to directly access them, to use them as kind of a broker dealer to invest in private market opportunities. So Hecto Vaults route standalone, larger, and bespoke private market opportunities through a qualified desk workflow built for the ROFR holders, supply partners, institutions, family offices, and approved participants who need structure before execution. So basically, you're using their investment house, okay, to, if they allow you to, or if they accept you to, you're using their investment house to have access to certain private market opportunities. So that's the 3 offerings that they have here. And reason why this is so intriguing, besides those 2 narratives, is it's built on Canton. And what Canton is doing through a product called Zenith, right? Bring your Ethereum applications to Canton. We all know that the most money in crypto is virtually pretty much locked up in Ethereum and Ethereum DeFi, right? You could say the most money in crypto might be, Bitcoin, but really it's the money locked up in DeFi on Ethereum. So all of this through Zenith is going to be moving over to Canton, in my opinion. Okay. And you can tell they're doing some big things here. This is their CEO, Heslin Kim. And let's just share a post from Zenith. Canton was purpose-built for what institutions actually need: privacy, compliance, atomic settlement, governance frameworks they can actually operate within. A decade of building with regulators produced the network that JP Morgan, DTCC, Goldman Sachs, and Visa now depend on for live production operations. And we're going to skip down to here. Zenith is the on-ramp that opens this infrastructure to 31K plus active Ethereum developers. Both sides get what they need. Neither has to compromise on what makes them worth. Zenith, okay? So both sides, both Ethereum and Canton, get what they need, okay? Privacy, compliance, atomic settlement, governance frameworks, okay? This is what Zenith is building. Now, that makes it very interesting because then these institutions have access to Hecto. Maybe they don't need as much as we retail do, right? But that is a possibility, okay? That institutions can go and access Hecto, right? And put money into Hecto, do, predictions on Hecto. So that's a very, very interesting and intriguing thing to think about. Now, the CEO of Edel, and we'll get to Edel and we'll connect that in here in just a second here, and definitely check out the video I did yesterday on Edel. You Patreon guys have the full version of the video. Definitely check that out. Some gems definitely in there. Now, Andres interviews CEO Heslin Kim, who CEO Heslin liked one of my posts today. Thank you very much for that, Heslin. Hopefully one day that I can earn that follow and hopefully get you on the stream for an interview. That would be so awesome. But let's continue on here. Andre says, Canton did not appear overnight. It is the result of a decade of institutional groundwork now becoming visible to Web3. The first episode of After the Close, I sat down with Heslin Kim, one of the sharpest voices explaining why Canton Network is not another L1 narrative. It is institutional market infrastructure coming on chain. That can be understated. Let me repeat that 2 times. It is institutional market structure coming on chain. It is institutional market structure coming on chain. Love it. So let's listen to what they have to say here.
That's what everyone thought Canton was going to be. Hyped up token. There's no way it's going to sustain itself. It's going to definitely dump. And it hasn't.
People happily take some real money for some real magic internet money, right? Like, what am I going to do with this coin that doesn't even have a price?
And validators come into networks typically farming. Every major financial institution and stock exchange is routing towards Canton. They're going to be tokenizing $100 trillion worth of assets via Canton. But people are really doing themselves a disservice not to learn about what is going on here.
So
trillion dollars worth of assets.
Let's repeat that last part again.
Institution and stock exchange is routing towards Canton. They're going to be into networks, typically farming. Every major financial institution and stock exchange is routing towards Canton. They're going to be tokenizing $100 trillion worth of assets via Canton. But people are really doing themselves a disservice not to learn about what is going on here.
every major financial institution and the stock exchange. Now, what he's saying is definitely not hyperbole. He's not capping here. This is actually what's happening. You see if I can bring up this article of the global synchronizer from Canton, and that'll show you exactly what he's talking about there. Let me bring up this link. We're going to do it live here. Okay, I can't find that link, but we'll get back to it here. Oh, there it is. So you can see here with the global synchronizer, we got NASDAQ, right, which is the stock market, right, and a ton of different major financial institutions, including Zenith right here, right? There's Visa, there's YZI Labs, which is Binance, actually renamed, Zodia right there, SBI. We got a few different ones, BitGo, Circle, Hex Trust, Kaiko, Ledger. Okay, a few different ones here. So definitely not one to sneeze at there. Fireblocks, DTCC. Major financial institutions are heading to Canton, and they are actually super validators on Canton. So can't understate that. Now let's hear from the CEO of Hecto in a clip here from our guy, Crypto God X Gold 589. He says the Hecto Inc. CEO Utan Miller broke it down with an interview with Outer Edge Events. Miller said, prediction markets are coming to Canton Network, and the end game is much bigger than just trading the odds. Users may be able to turn prediction market wins into access to a future pre-IPO product. And it's just interesting and sexy to me as far as like, it's gamified investing. It brings together the best parts of Polymarket and Kalshi, but now in something that users, the regular retail guy could never have access to, and that's pre-IPO products. But let's listen.
Particular basket, we I think we mentioned a few of them, but maybe you can just kind of go over that a little bit more and talk about the timing there of the launch.
Yeah, of course. So the prediction market product will launch on, don't want to give an exact date, but we imagine next week. And I think it will run for probably a month, maybe a little bit longer, depending. And at that point, we will then roll over our users and extend the opportunity for people to convert their winnings into our pre-IPO index product. That will roll out imminently. We'll be building liquidity on Canton at first. And then, of course, the goal is to take it to the rest of the world. So, yeah, coming to centralized exchanges and wallets and hopefully eventually even retail brokerage accounts near you.
So, again, pre-IPO products rolling it out on Canton. And yes, even hopefully globally. Okay, so pretty intriguing thoughts there from the CEO. Now we're going to get into a little bit of the tokenomics. As far as I know, as far as what they show on their website, it's 100 billion tokens, right? Same as XRP, okay? Only initially 2 billion will be released. I still think initially, even with only 2% of the supply being released, it's going to be a it's going to be a very lucrative, not financial advice event, because a lot of times when tokens first release and you got the first initial hype, that's when you get a lot of the value, right? So conversion is 1 CC to 100 Hecto. When we first started talking about this in the Patreon, it was 47. It's like 47 now on Canton to buy it, like 1cc to 47 Hecto. Now it's like 44 Hecto. So the word's getting out there. Like people, the word is truly getting out here. So be that as it may. And then I have a graph that I'd like to share with you guys where it shows the tokenomics here. Let me pull that up. So we got the tokenomics here. So there's basically 71, and this is not confirmed, right? That 71.5 that's going to be kind of the ecosystem, 20 to the team, 5, or is that 6 to investors, and 2.5% to advisors, okay? But again, initially 2 billion is supposed to be out. None of this is kind of confirmed. This is just what I was able to find on the website. And we'll see if we can bring this up on the website here. Let me take that down for a second. And let me see if I can find the part on the website that shows this. Because it's kind of interesting and convoluted to try to find it. So I remember I was trying to find it before when we were talking about it, and I couldn't find it. Okay, yeah, so that's not confirmed, right? I can't remember how I got to that part that showed the 71% and all of that, but I think we can go off of those two charts, the chart that I just showed you and this total supply here. Needless to say, I think it's really going to be lucrative no matter how you slice the tokenomics. But again, we'll follow up in future shows once we get this nailed down and confirmed. Okay, because not sure if this is the complete and total, because they also say down here to be published with the contract address and things like that. So I'm not sure if this is the complete and total tokenomics. So I'll have to come back and get back with you guys on that another time here. Yeah, because I still don't see it. Can't remember how I got to it here. So let's just continue on here. Now, one of the reasons why this is very intriguing to me is the news that we heard from SpaceX. I don't know if you guys heard the news from SpaceX about what happened to one of their welders who privately, apparently SpaceX had a program where people could invest in pre-IPO stocks of SpaceX. Let's just go ahead and play that right now.
Could become the world's first trillionaire from this morning's SpaceX IPO. He's not the only one who's going to benefit. Thousands of others connected to the company could become millionaires. Still, not everyone is convinced that SpaceX is worth the hype. Jolene Kent is here to show us why. Jolene, good morning.
Good morning, Kelly. Investors are watching to see how the market will value Elon Musk's SpaceX. For employees from the factory floor to the engineering team, this moment is expected to pay off in a big way. In our CBS Mornings broadcast exclusive, we spoke with a former welder who could very well become a millionaire today when SpaceX goes public.
And liftoff.
From top C-suite executives to welders like Juan Hernandez, many SpaceX workers are expected to become instant millionaires with SpaceX publicly trading on the NASDAQ. How did you end up with a job at SpaceX?
And a friend that I met at another job ended up in SpaceX. And then he called me. I told him, I don't even know what SpaceX is, but let's go,
Hernandez says he worked there for 10 years, rising to supervisor, still holding 6,500 shares of SpaceX. How much money do you stand to make in this IPO?
At opening, it's going to be like around, $880,000.
$880,000.
Yes. As an immigrant, I was always taught just to work hard, do the best I can what I do. And thanks to SpaceX, you see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Do you feel like you've achieved the American dream?
Yeah, I mean, but there's no reason to stop.
The rockets are really hard.
So it since has been that's risen to 1 million. So having access to pre-IPO stocks, bro took home 1 million. You know, I mean, of course, he had been building up for like 10 years his stack, right? But again, as regular non-accredited investors, we have no access to this. We go from no access to at least some exposure with Hecto. Okay, so you know, you get a piece of that. If you were in one situation and you were doing this on Hecto, you would get a piece of that million, right? As opposed to, I think SpaceX is actually down right now from where it initially IPO'd at initially on the NASDAQ. So there it is, right? So apparently you can just see there that the money is in the pre-IPO and not really when it first comes out on the stock market, you know. So let's look at the team. The team is really interesting in this aspect, right? We heard from Ultan Miller, right? We heard from him. Here's Igor Gusarov. He's the COO. But here we have a familiar name, James Sherborne, right? James leads investment across company selection, thematic construction, and market signal design for Hecto predictions, PMs, and vaults. And, you know, we'll speak more about James and Ultan Miller in after this to the Patreon people here. We got Craig Dyer and Altman Mayoyetti. Okay. But James should be familiar to you in that, remember, we heard earlier from Edel CEO Andreas Solterman. Well, guess what? James is also co-founder and CEO of Edel. Okay. So James, and James is very, he's very an experienced guy. This capital markets and technology investing, this is his area. Capital markets and technology operator with experience as a Berenberg equity analyst and a Saxon Ventures managing partner. Okay, leads financial strategy and market structure. So we'll talk about that more with the patrons at the end here, though. But we can see here that when it comes to James here, he's connected both to Edel and Hecto. Okay. And there's Andres here. And, he mentions Roman too. You hear Andres mention Roman, but their team, you can definitely go check out their team on Edel's website. But I just wanted to point out to you that James is involved in both projects. Okay. So we shall get into this more in the Patreon. Definitely come over to the Patreon where we have weekly open mic nights, and we got 7 patrons in here right now. I love that. Even like I'm doing this pretty late here, actually at night here, but we got 7 patrons in here tonight. That's awesome. But for you guys on the regular channel, we are going to sign out on the regular channel. So if you guys made it to the end on the regular channel, please put Hecto into the comments, and they'll let me know you got to the end. And please, please, please like and subscribe if you love the information here. Definitely like and subscribe. And thank you guys so much for watching. And I'm out.